Alrighty, so it's been a couple of months since I last updated my tier list, and I thought that now with Escanor coming out, it would be a really good time to mess with it a little bit. I originally intended to kind of do it every time there was a new festival coming out, but I just kind of forgot about it whenever the Merlin Festival came out. So before we hop in, I'm going to make some adjustments and everything. If you're new to the channel or anything like that, feel free to subscribe. We're almost at 12K, which we're trying to hit by the end of the year, so if you want to help out, much appreciated. But yeah, so I'm going to kind of skim through a little bit. There's a couple of characters that we added last time that I think could probably use a little bit of adjusting, of course. And yeah, and then we'll add the new characters. We don't have that many new characters to add. Well, I mean, that's kind of a lot compared to what it should be, maybe. But yeah, so honestly, even though I like this Liz, I think I'm going to move her down quite a bit. I think I'm going to at least move her down below Bond, because I don't know what it is. Like, even, if you have a really high ultimate level and everything, perfect. She does a really good job. She puts on the revive and everything. Pretty useful. You can't even cleanse the revive off once you get her, I think it's 4, 6, and higher. So that's obviously a really good, boost to make her a little bit more useful. But I tend to not rely on ultimates nearly as much as everybody else in the game seems to. So I'm going to move her down a little bit. I don't really think that she deserves second place. Not that I'm not, this isn't like a hard score or like a hard cutoff on, like, if they're higher up on the tier list, they're a lot better or anything. I try not to do that, but I definitely don't want her that close to the front, because I think Melly's still, like, probably one of the best units in the game, if not the best unit. So I still want him kind of to be the header of the whole thing. So I don't think that there's anybody in here. Maybe we move Escanor down to... I'm tempted. I kind of want to push him down to just top of S tier instead, because he really can't compete in the meta nowadays. He is still very, very good for just like ult rushing and using him in like PvE scenarios. Like, using his ultimate in PvE is super good, especially with them adding like all kinds of damage caps and stuff like that nowadays, which actually makes me want to bring Green Sariel up a little bit higher in S tier, because his counter can actually get through a lot of damage caps as well. I think Freyr can probably get pushed up closer to the top of S tier. Like I said, I don't want it to be strictly like, oh, if they're at the bottom of S tier, they're like way worse or anything like that, but I don't know. Rough outline, I would like some characters to be higher up than others, of course. Anybody else in here? I'm tempted to bring Merlin down to the bottom of SS tier, maybe. I also kind of want to push Gother down to the top of S tier instead, because I feel like having this many like SS tier characters is not the greatest. I also think I want to move OG Merlin down to S tier. And honestly, you're probably gonna complain. You might complain about the king here being in SS tier still, but I still think that he's super good. Especially, like, I'm really hoping that he gets a holy relic soon, so we're gonna hold off on him. We're gonna keep him in SS tier for now. Anybody else in here? I think we're gonna drop old school Tarmiel. Even though he has a really good ult, he's got some good ult control. His holy relic is pretty decent. He really just can't hold a candle to the red Tarmiel, and I don't see people using him basically at all anymore, unless they actually put him on the field for whatever reason, like with the Nalfami team or whatever. So I'm gonna drop him down quite a bit, because he's getting a little old. He's getting a little outdated. People obviously just want to use the red Tarmiel instead nowadays, so I think I'm okay with that. Let's bring Cusack down, the original Cusack. I still want to keep Chandler up here somewhere, because his holy relic has made him super relevant now. Let's do... Honestly, I kind of want to bring... Let's bring Mono down. I don't want to put her in like the bottom or anything, but let's bring her down to A tier. I don't think that she's nearly as good as she was on release. Like, she kind of got outdated pretty quickly, if I'm being kind of honest about it. I think I'm okay with the rest of these at the moment. Don't see anything out of the ordinary that I would want to change. Let's say... Okay, Jormungand is here. And where is Miguelda at? Miguelda's also here. Let's bring Thonar up to A tier because she is really nice to have with the dogs team, of course, and they've added her files and her holy relic into the files for the game. So I'm assuming on the half celebration for Escanor, or maybe shortly after, she is supposed to be getting a holy relic. They also added a holy relic for Nanashi in, but obviously we don't know what they're going to do yet. So that is very interesting to me. Let's bring these all up together if possible. If I'm being honest, Thonar's probably the worst out of all of them so far, but hopefully her holy relic will kind of bring her up a bit. I think I'm going to lower Iori to B tier. Let's bring this Zeldris up to low S tier, because I had him in B tier, which is probably quite the improvement, especially the fact that he's not gained a holy relic or anything significant on his own, but the demon team itself is definitely transforming. I hated to put him in B tier originally, but he really just didn't show a whole lot of promise when he first released. But now that the demon team is sort of transforming with some of these new units, I think that he is actually pretty good. Let's bring Zeldris, actually. This older Zeldris is still like insanely good backline. I'm gonna bring him up to higher S tier. And let me bring this Summer Deanne into A tier, because I know that she's strictly only for one game mode. It's only for OG Demon, basically, but she makes it like a consistent 3-turn win. And that's honestly like super convenient, very nice. So I'm going to bring her up. I'm going to keep her a little bit higher than she was. I think everything else should be around where it needs to be, as far as I know. I don't think there's anything else in here. I'll try to go back through a little bit more later. But let's actually go for the new characters now. So I don't think that these are particularly in order, unfortunately. If we go by order, I think I already had Thonar in here. Thonar was the last one, so we need to do Reinhard and Echidna. So obviously, these were both from... Oh, I accidentally... Did I just throw him in the... Where did he go? Yeah, F tier. So obviously, he is insanely good. Like, so good. He's way... I think he's way better than Bon, actually. Maybe we lower Bon to around here-ish, and then we're gonna make Reinhard way up here. He's just insane, honestly. Like, I mean, you can't really say anything about it. He's, even with low ult level, his regular cards do like an insane amount of damage, plus he's got that weird like recycling sort of passive where it gives you like a random effect, which is really, really good, of course. Echidna is really good as well. I want to put her in like the top of S tier at the moment. I would like to put her in SS tier. If I do, I'll probably move it like this and do push Summer Merlin out, because really the only thing you're using her for is attack ceiling, which is good, don't get me wrong, but I think Echidna is basically like the new backbone of the Unknown team at this point. Like, you basically want to have her on the team because she's building so many like stats and stuff like that for your Unknown team. It's pretty ridiculous. So I think I really want to keep this one line. I hate to do it like that. Let's actually lower King for now. Let's maybe push. Let's bring somebody else down to A tier if possible. Let's go. I think Green Gother's, I mean, although Red Gother's still like amazing, we'll put him in like the top of A tier for now. I also kind of want to move Sigurd down to A tier. He can be really good, but I don't think he's like S tier necessarily. Like, he has his uses, but I don't know. He's kind of like a gimmicky kind of unit. So that was Reinhardt and Echidna. So who is next? We have Infinity Mage Merlin. So honestly, on release, she was pretty mid-tier. Like, as far as like festivals go, she was still good, don't get me wrong, but she's definitely like improved a lot with us getting more unknown characters and everything. So I'm gonna bring her up to S tier. I'm gonna put her like low SS tier, I guess, just because I don't necessarily know how much I agree with this at the moment. So yeah, I think we're gonna end up having to I think we're gonna have to end up moving or making this like a 2-line thing, because there's just a lot of good units in the game right now. So Merlin, we're gonna put her in SS tier. Easton of Authority, the green Easton. From what I keep accidentally right clicking, so there she is. I honestly don't want to put her super high. I think that she's low A tier at best, and that's saying a lot. Like, actually, I would feel a lot more comfortable putting her in like the high B tier, because literally the only thing you're using her for is her passive. So she's going in the sub slot. Her actual cards and stuff like that are pretty mediocre. Her Holy Relic doesn't even actually work with her skills or anything, which is also a huge misstep, I feel like. So that's just a huge, like downward, con for me. I have been seeing people use her with the new Escanor, and that is pretty cool, but I don't know that necessarily brings her any higher on the tier list, I guess. Like, she gets a little bit more use, maybe low A tier at the best, but I'm going to keep her in B tier for now, just because I just don't see her being, like, overall very useful. And even if you wanted to use her on the Escanor team, I think you would have to have her, like, completely invested into, have the Holy Relic, have everything good, so that way she's not bringing your CC down any. And even then, I can kind of only see it like as like I want to use Easton, so let me throw her on the team kind of unit, not like a, hey, she's like best in slot or anything on his team. So I don't know, just not digging that. Next up, we have the Shield collab heroes. So let's go with Kizuna first, because I actually really like Kizuna. Kizuna has shown a lot of potential in the more recent like time since she's been released. I'm gonna put her in the low S tier, just because she's actually really, really helpful for a lot of PvE stuff. Obviously, she doesn't work in the bird and everything, which is kind of annoying. Actually, I think that makes me want to put her in like low A. If she worked in the bird, or like if she worked in the creature's nest stuff, she would be so helpful, but unfortunately she doesn't, so that kind of sucks. But she's insanely good just in general for PvE stuff, but most of the PvE stuff is pretty easy as it is, unless it's like like the final boss Tarmiel or whatever, like the one-off stuff that's just here and there. But yeah, most of the just like regular PvE content isn't necessarily like hard enough to warrant like needing her, but she makes it a lot, faster and smoother just by existing. So I'm going to put her in the top of A tier. I think that's fair. I kind of want to put her in the low S tier, but we'll keep her there for now. Philo. Philo is pretty nuts. She is like glass cannon, like crazy damage. We're going to put her in SS tier for the moment. Let me put Deanne at the bottom, I guess, for now. I actually want to move these characters down to the bottom, so that way they kind of get pushed up a little bit. Philo is nuts. Like, she has like some of the most like first turn kill potential in the game at the moment, and it's not just like, oh, I'm killing one unit. It's like I'm wiping out the entire enemy team turn one, which is just way strong. So obviously with Escanor coming out, it might not be as good, but she's still pretty nuts. So next up we have Nalfamy. Nalfamy is really good. Like, obviously there's a lot of counterplay to Nalfamy. I'm going to put him in S tier, high S tier at that. I would like to put him in SS tier, but literally to counterplay Nalfamy at the time of recording this, he doesn't have anything that's just like pushing him over the edge, making you want to attack him. So he's kind of like Assault Mode Melee when he first released, where you can literally just move cards, get an ultimate, try to kill him that way, instead of actually fighting into him like you would want if you're running the Nalfamy team. So I'm going to put him in S tier. I think that's pretty fair. I would like to put him higher, but at the moment, his team, he doesn't have anything on his team that's really making you want to attack him. Like, it's not worth putting stacks on him and, like, potentially losing the match to try to put damage on him, really. So, if you just play it smart, you can get by him pretty easily. Raftalia is... She has the exact same cards as Reinhard, but because she scales off of defense, which is by far the weakest stat in the game, like out of the 3 basic stats, she just ends up falling pretty short in a lot of occasions. Like, she doesn't do nearly as much damage as you want her to. Like, she can deal really good damage, and I think the fact that she boosts her team and stuff really well is nice, but I'm going to put her in, like, low S tier. Actually, I really want to put her in low A or high A tier because I think that's a little bit more fair. Like, obviously, if you pair her with Nalfami, she's still really good, but on her own, like, trying to build a team around her without Nalfami is really hard. And she's just not nearly as good without him, so it's kind of like a combo deal almost, whereas with Nalfami, you can kind of run him on a lot of different things and have him as, like, a backup character to sort of try to do, like, comeback mechanic. But Raftalia is just, she's a damage dealer that is pretty hit or miss on actually dealing good damage, so that's pretty unfortunate to say the least. Next up we have Demon Cusack. Oh, did I not? Or I completely skipped Chandler, unfortunately, which is actually very fitting because this Chandler's pretty mediocre, I would say. I think we're going to put him in, like, the middle of A tier just because he's pretty meh. Do I have more than one red Thonar in here? No, I put him in the middle of those. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, whoa. Anyway, yeah, he's pretty mid. I'm giving him A tier because his Pierce card is actually pretty decent, and if you run all of the newer demons together, they kind of synergize, like, extremely well, but even then, it's pretty meh. Like, I mean, him by himself is terrible. Him with the support that he needs is, like good at best. Like, not great, but he's good. And, I mean, I don't know. That's saying a lot. So, we'll go ahead and throw Cusack in. Honestly, I kind of want to put these two both together. I like Cusack more than Chandler because of that crit chance reduction skill that he has. I think that is insanely, like, fun to use and very essential. Maybe not essential, but, like, very good in the meta nowadays because everything is so, like, crit based if you're doing damage dealers. So I think that can be really good, but at the same time, by himself, pretty bad. His Pierce card, Pierce card, pretty bad. That AoE card is kind of gimmicky. It only lasts for one turn, unfortunately, at level 1, and I don't really see a whole lot of scenarios where you would want to run him with, like, Gother or something to get higher, multipliers on that, and, like, just getting lucky and merging them is probably not like, super common, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like they belong together in a lot of ways, so we're going to keep them there. The Griamore is still brand new. I actually don't think JP even has access to this Griamore yet, but from my understanding with his skills and everything right now, he seems pretty meh. Like, we're going to put him B tier, and that's just being generous for now because I actually haven't been able to see his gameplay yet, and I just kind of want to get him into the tier list. But I think if I really was playing it smart, I would just leave him off for now. But I don't know. He's very, like, I don't know, very weird kind of deal. If we go to his actual character himself, he has, like, a detonate card, which is not great on a lot of characters. He's just a Griamore, so his stats and everything are insanely bad. His crit chance is 5%, which is shoo-wee. He has a buff card that buffs basic stats, which is okay, and then it actually puts on evasion at level 2 and 3, which is kind of cool. But you don't get a taunt until his ultimate, which is very unfortunate, because if he had a taunt, like a stance taunt, as like a regular card, he would actually be really good with the Nalfami team, because then you could kind of use him as like a counterpart to put taunts on, so that way Raftalia still does good damage and everything from her passive. He's got one of these really mediocre Holy Relics, and his passive is for every buff on the hero, increases the hero's defense-related stats by 20%. So he does actually scale off of defense, so you kind of want to run him with Nalfami, but it just doesn't seem like a perfect fit for the Nalfami team, really. So, I don't know. Gonna wait and hold like too much judgment off until like I can actually see some gameplay of him. It'll probably be like another 2 or 3 weeks before we're able to actually get him on global, because it's just a matter of like getting him through that event, and he's not on banners or anything. So that brings us to our last man, who is man of the hour, and it is Escanor. And you're probably gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna put him below Melee, because I honestly think, even though he's way better for PvP, just because of like his insane turn 1 potential and his like comeback last stand mechanic, I think PvE wise, well, I mean, I don't know, this is a PvE and PvP kind of tier list mashed together, which obviously makes it kind of hard. But Melee, even though this Escanor is insanely good at PvE as well, Melee's passive is so nice, doing like 2 single targets per turn to get an 8% damage reduction stack, and you can stack that up to, I think it's 4 times, maybe 5 times, I can't remember. But he's got like an amplify skill that does just insane damage. Like, I don't know, he just, once this character gets built up, he is by far the best character in the game, whereas this character is just kind of good out of the gate, but he kind of stays there. Like, I mean, his ultimate is obviously crazy, but Melee's ultimate is also kind of crazy. So I think it's hard to say. I think you could put these either way and it would be fine. I'm a bit more biased towards Melee, just being honest, so I'm gonna keep Melee at the beginning. But yeah, I personally think that, I mean, he's literally second place on my tier list, so it's not like he's like bad by any means whatsoever. But I just personally think that once you get Melee powered up, he's going to be way better than Escanor, like, just personally. I don't know, that might be starting a fire, but either way, that's pretty much it from me. Honestly, if you're newer to the game or anything and you're looking to mess with any of these characters, I would personally say if they are B tier and lower, I would probably not worry about powering them up anytime soon, or just kind of worrying about them way later on whenever you have extra materials or anything like that. I would try to stick with these characters in SS tier through A tier, because these characters all have like good uses. They're decent in multiple game modes, and just overall like good characters. So I don't know, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know any changes that you would make down in the comments below. I do want to say, obviously, this is very opinionated. It's my personal tier list. I'm more of a PvE player, not as much of a PvP player, so that's kind of where some of the weird opinions come into play. But yeah, I don't know, it's just my personal tier list. If you want to, make one for yourself. But either way, I'll see you guys later.